Welcome. Today, we are answering a very important question. And the question is, if there was a game master designing the game of life, what are the rules, achievements, prizes, and the ultimate goal of the game that they are designing in this life that we are living?
This is like a fun little thought experiment that we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what yours is, so I want you to go first.
I kind of like had a whole process of realization throughout it that at first I feel like my brainstorming process mirrored the like macro scale of what the game is, which is kind of funny that I started out like writing down like what the levels are as if like literally a video game, like you level 1, level 2, like the things that you go and as you like get better at the game, what you get through. And then I was like writing down what the rules are, meaning like the kind of like laws of nature in a way, like the irrefutable things. And then as I like kept thinking about it, I basically came to larger realizations about the game as a whole and like the contradictions within the game itself that speak to kind of like, it was funny because at first I started to think, okay, everybody goes through this, this, and this, and this. And then I started to realize that there's actually no two games are the same between people. Like everyone is going through a different game. But basically I started out by writing out these levels and these rules as the first part of it. And then as you like go up in the levels, it like exposes things about the game before that you didn't realize.
That's kind of what I said too.
Yeah. So like, okay, I'll just read through some of basically I'll read through like the levels and the rules, and then I can share like the realizations that I had after that. It's like, if you were the game master, you know all these things because your players are about to go through it, but the players are figuring it out as they go. And like later on, they learn more rules of the game. But at first they're just like in it, which is literally life.
Like unaware.
Right, exactly. So like the first level was like you're just floating around like a sponge. You're just like there, like hanging out and trying to like figure things out. You're like taking everything in. This would be like the baby stage where you're just like learning, sponge, absorbing, not really like thinking too hard about it. You're just really like taking it all in and like walking around somewhat like aimlessly. And then at some point you like gain control of the sponge of yourself, of like realizing that you can like exert yourself in this way, and you have all these like voluntary actions, and you can like think about this and do that. So you like gain a little bit of awareness, but you're not really fully aware. You're more just realizing that you're like alive. And so you're like, oh, I can like use my body and like this, and I can think about this, and I can study this and learn that. Like you're like seeing like the transactional capability of life. And then it's like using the sponge self. Sponge was just like the image I had of like the player at first, to like gain gold stars and points and achieve things. And you like force yourself to like do these things and go about life and get like bonuses and like achieve all these things. And then eventually like at some point in there, the player like becomes self-aware. And then there's like all the levels in and of itself of awareness of awareness, like being frustrated by the awareness, having like critical self-awareness, like criticizing the self and the sponge, and just like kind of having a breakdown of what you thought was, which I feel like this is where I started to realize that it's not really a linear path, and like the levels are actually self-created by your soul. And so like I then viewed it as everyone maybe starts out with like a similar set of levels, but then they sort of break out like branches according to what your soul needs to go through in order to achieve the end prize. And then like part of that was you go through like up leveling your skills and your abilities and sharpening your gifts. And so I pictured just the general themes of things that happen in people's life, but then I started to realize you can't really write out the levels per se because it's kind of different for each person in terms of what specifically happens. But I feel like it does fit into the general path of unaware to aware, seeking outside of you, going inside of you, but that there's a lot of like intricacies in that. So I was like it was like a little bit, It's like hard to explain it because I was going back and forth and realizing I was like, this doesn't really work because then this happens in life and like this contradicts itself. But that's my view of like the levels was just in congruence with how you gain awareness of your life and you kind of like go back and forth between, yeah, you're just like taking steps forward, sometimes taking steps back. And like as you gain awareness, you feel just more like, or as you go through life, you gain more confidence and you like achieve more things. And it's like an upward general trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
That's at first what I had.
I'm absorbing it all because it's funny. I had a very similar breakdown, but it's just different perspectives based on our own individual lens.
Yeah.
That broke down the same thing in different,
right.
like
which
a different gamified
yeah.
version of it.
Which is why I started to feel I was like, there's not really a set amount of levels and types because I was feeling like in the end, the person's unique soul sets the levels and the experiences that you are going to run into. Even like I was thinking about it, we watched Interstellar. Well, we is too many people. Me and Peter watched Interstellar. Nikki fell asleep.
I took a nice deep
3-hour nap. But there's an aspect of Interstellar where the main character is essentially like communicating with himself from a different field of consciousness kind of, and also with his daughter. And it made me think of that game element in a way of your highest self or your soul, even maybe your future self is handing you things and experiences to assist your experience of the game.
And that's like almost the connection to our highest self, you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Like in the game, there's a highest self that for most of, I think the player isn't aware of the highest self. And then maybe at some point in the game world, there's like a second almost like sub player that's part of them that they can communicate between. And you as like running the game at some point have ability to talk to and consult the highest self. And maybe that would be like another quote unquote character in the game that you get to speak to and acknowledge, but you don't really know that they're there for a while. And then eventually there's the whole world of, I don't know, you could get creative with thinking the highest, like one goal is to try to join up with your highest self and you're always looking for them. And part of it is like you're on a quest to find them. And then maybe later there's a realization that there wasn't anyone to find. It was
within you
the whole time. And I had a lot of themes about that, like the prize itself, but I want to hear your levels situation.
What's the winning? Or you want to save that?
I want to save that.
Okay. I'm going to start my theory from kind of like the bottom up. I feel like you took it from whatever way you want to word that. Okay. So my theory is that let's pretend we're dropped into this simulation right now that is a game. Before we drop into the game, we're just eternalness, just souls, consciousness, pure love, pure light. And we aren't in the material world yet. And you can almost imagine all these souls up there in different dimensions waiting to have the opportunity to come down into the game of Earth.
Like in the movie Soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally when they jump into the hole and they're
Yeah.
like, it's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn. And when you're up there, you get to choose, the same way you were saying, what that roadmap looks like by you choosing the specific challenges that you're going to go through as a soul. So you can almost imagine it like when you're playing a video game and before you go into the actual game, you have the section of the video game where you choose what kind of reality you want to go into.
Mm-hmm. And your avatar.
Right. And you choose the setting. And if you go into this setting, the challenges are going to be, I don't know, let's say it's like, what's an example of a video game that I can talk about?
Fortnite.
I don't know anything about Fortnite. But just imagine how there's different types of realities you can go into with different challenges.
You like look at the map and you can like different
maybe
places.
This one is about going through Hawaii and there's all these different volcanoes and you have to learn how to dodge the hot lava. And then there's another one that's about you're in a city and you're a robber. Like there's all different kinds of challenges that you can tap into. And with these challenges, the point of choosing the challenge is throughout your time in the game of Earth, you are going to be faced with the challenges in order to ultimately reach the goal of the game, which is the same for everyone. Mm-hmm. The goal of the game is to remember the truth of who you were before you tapped into the 3D material world, which is love. That is literally at the root of this entire game, is for all of us to remember our true essence, which is that we are love. And you say the word love and you kind of think of romance, and it's just such a word in our current 3D reality that is used in a way where we speak about it as a verb. But it's also important to understand that love, I see as the truth of who we are. It's almost interchangeable with consciousness in my eyes. It's the God within that you truly are. So you drop down into the game of life and you lose your memory of who you truly are. And throughout the whole game, you're hit with these challenges, which are the levels. And it's through the challenge where that is your opportunity to shed a false sense of yourself, which is the 3D self. And through that shedding process, you tap deeper into the true essence of who you are, even if it's the tiniest bit. So when you're in the forgetting and the 3D and you're lost in the game, kind of the same way how Alan Watts was explaining in that, you're in this play.
Yeah.
Where you have to remember that you're acting and the whole thing is an illusion.
Right. Like the example about like the paying the money at the grocery store and then being like, oh, I just like paid this money and I like let this go, of how like that's
right.
It's like fake. Like
it's all fake.
It's not that it's fake. It's just that it's misleading in terms of what wealth and abundance and those feelings really are.
Well, yeah, because when you're so new to the game and you're at the other end of the spectrum of totally not remembering, it's what we spoke about in one of those episodes. I can't remember which one it was, where I spoke about how I have a theory that people who are deep in the forgetting can have the potential of getting lost in the 3D by almost taking the illusion way too seriously to the point where it causes suffering for them. So back to what I was saying, the levels in life are the challenges that you go through that help you shed aspects of the false self and that taps you deeper into your true essence. So let me use the example of someone who is going through a really terrible loss. Maybe their soul is on a journey where they had a terrible death in their family. Maybe they lost a child. And that challenge allows them to turn inwards to remember, maybe that for that moment, it's remembering that the soul of their child is actually still with them. And that is just an essence of truth that exists that's out of the realm of being so in the material, in the illusion. Maybe it's acceptance and understanding that, ooh, I'm really creating my own reality right now by being stuck in this resistance towards what happened in my life. So I believe that with every challenge, you learn these lessons that we call wisdom. And the wisdom actually is you understanding a law of the universe through getting past a level. So when you're over one of the challenges, you either learn an internal law of the universe, how something works within yourself. Maybe you understand forgiveness or acceptance, and it allows you to tap back into a deeper sense of love. Or maybe you go through a challenge that teaches you the laws of the game in more of a sense of like understanding the outer reality and how the actual 3D realm and the illusion works. So an example of that would be you go through a challenge of understanding that I'm trying to think of a challenge that would allow someone to learn the laws of the universe with manifestation.
Like a surrender
and belief
situation
and embodying the energy. I'm just saying there's challenges that teach you certain things.
Yeah.
Everything's a lesson.
Right. Yeah.
So I truly believe the entire point of the game is to remember your true essence.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some souls, and if you can think about that spectrum of consciousness, the more you remember, the higher you ascend.
Mm-hmm.
And as you ascend, you go up that spectrum of frequency, which is connecting you to love, which is your true essence. Mm-hmm. Is this making sense, what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I was thinking of. Oh, and as you connect more to love, you also are contributing to the collective remembering. And that's major points in the game. So when you are in a state of love and you are near someone who is maybe deeper in the forgetting, your energy actually impacts them and helps them remember, which is really powerful. So giving back to the collective helps you earn the points, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Fulfillment.
Yes, totally.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you want to label that reward system.
Yeah.
Just feeling even more grounded in your truth when you're helping other people. And that's just spreading of the love and spreading of the remembering to other people and helping them excel. And then the cool thing about going through the challenges and up leveling and earning, almost like you can picture in the video game where you earn little stars. That's your wisdom that you know.
Yeah.
So then as you go through more challenges, you have more star power to get through the challenges because the wisdom helps you get through the challenge with more grace and ease. So maybe that person who had the terrible death of their child and dealt with grief and sadness now goes through a life challenge and understands that life is short and they don't want to hold on to the anger and the resentment when something bad goes wrong because nothing is promised. And it helps them navigate through that challenge using one of their stars that they earned in another challenge. And that's how we level up in life, and it eliminates our suffering as we gain more wisdom because we're able to embody a deeper truth of love and unity that helps us shed the non-natural emotions that they're not natural to us. Like feeling grief and anger happens in the 3D, but it's not really our natural state of being. So yeah, that's my whole thing.
I like that. I also liked picturing that as literally I'm picturing if I was looking at it like a animated video game on the screen and the characters are going through all this stuff and like figuring stuff out. The other interesting thing about that is then with each player and with each soul, it's like I'm thinking about how every person also learns and grows and becomes wise through even different mechanisms. Some like what you were saying about like through life experience. And then I feel like there's actually variety in each person of obviously I think it's pretty universal that everybody learns through life experience. But then I think about in human design, there's the different personality types and all the different energy types, how it all comes together, but that even affects the best way for you to learn and the best way for you to become more of yourself. And that it's like, I wonder if the souls who have, for example, the experimenter, which is in your profile, that then that soul is that game of yours is going to include especially experiences, literally life experiences to then embody your knowledge versus like another profile, right? Then of course, obviously I think again, everybody learns through experience, but then that every person also remembers themselves and learns the wisdom through another mechanism of life.
Right. It's almost like with these profiles, it's a life theme, right?
Yeah.
Is that what that is? Or no, I'm thinking
this would
of
be
the
more,
other.
I feel like this applies to like the personality type.
Okay, yeah.
Because
So
that's like your internal world, your your internal self, your external self, which then coming together is kind of like how you move about life and how you learn and how you come off to people.
right. So it's where we're picking up. So let's say in the game you navigate through a challenge, and through that challenge you pick up data that is essentially going to be formed into wisdom.
Right.
And then you embody it and it becomes a star that you wear, and that helps you navigate life.
Right. And then, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, so wait, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah. So back to what you're saying about these different profiles, I may have an easier time collecting data through testing out these two different routes in the challenge. So I'm looking at the map in the game, and there's climbing over the mountain or there's going over the river. Maybe my little avatar picks up the wisdom through doing both of them. Whereas maybe your avatar picks up the wisdom by studying.
Goes to the library. I was about to say, then my player is like, goes into the library or into school or the study or picks up the book and then integrates it by then practicing it in life.
Well, explain the one too.
So my human design profile is a 1-4. The 1 is the internal, which is like the investigator. And part of it is, I don't know if this has to do with it being paired with the 4 or not, but there's an aspect of it that has to do with being able to understand a concept or like a piece of wisdom or like a teaching without necessarily having gone through it first. So like,
you don't have to go through the river or the mountain.
Right. But then it's like, if I learn the piece of wisdom, then when I do come to like the river or the mountain, that's then my next step of embodying it. But that I'll understand it, I guess also partially embody it from a different mechanism that is not the same as like the 5-2, no, 3-5, 3-5, or someone who like learns it through, I don't know, whatever the other like mechanism would be. But that's another interesting way of viewing all the different players and the uniqueness, is that you come also into this incarnation with the exact, methods to be able to learn and level up. But that also even teaches you why you can't compare always to somebody else's way of living life. Sometimes you have to find your own mechanism of what is going to get you to like level up.
Right. Because I think if we go back to the whole view of consciousness splitting itself up in order to experience itself in different forms, that is why we're all so different, because the experience is so different.
Right.
So it's not this singular thing where, okay, you gain your wisdom through going through the mountain and the river. Now everyone go through the mountain and the river.
Right.
It's this whole entire free roadmap, free range type of challenge where everyone's in their own corner, picking up data to help them progress and evolve and grow.
Right.
And I forgot to also say that with these challenges, the reason why we shed parts of the false sense of self and tap deeper into the sense of love and get closer to remembering our truth is through exactly what you were saying with raising awareness and raising consciousness. So if you think about the cavemen who were living that were not as self-aware as how we are now, they were just focused on food, water, fire, reproducing. And that was almost like that soul was at the earlier stages of just simply learning survival. So that would be that soul would navigate challenges that help them progress into higher levels of consciousness that expand beyond just survival.
Right. And even that collective is also going through a specific like set of experiences and experiencing the rules in different ways.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. There was something I also loved about what you said of how you can like choose to go into different like places on the map, for example, when you're like opening up the game map and you're deciding, I want to go to Mario Land or Luigiville. Yes. That I wrote down this visual, which I'll show on the camera, but it's a Venn diagram. And one is the outer world, one's the inner world, and then where they meet is where you realize that it's all one, and that you can spend time in the outer world, learning what you need to learn there, focusing on the external factors, maybe attaching to material things. And then a lot of people end up going on to the inner focused world, and they learn about themselves and they self-discover and they learn about their personality and they turn inward. But the rule of this game is that you, I think, can't get to world 3, the oneness world, without having tapped into each of the outer and the inner, because the middle world, or like the third world, is like where you dissolve the whole idea that there is separation and you realize they're all part of one.
Wait, I just had a realization that connects to that. This is why people love doing this healing work, because it's a life hack to use the inner world in order to progress throughout your challenges without having to face that challenge in the outer world.
Right.
So someone can actually go in and figure out the lesson that they're meant to learn and almost cut the loop on the karmic cycle.
Yeah.
And look at how that karmic cycle has played out in their life and what the challenge has brought and what the lesson is, so that they can understand the false sense of self that they've been carrying around. And that allows them to kind of close that loop so they don't have to face any more challenges, and they can go on to higher levels of consciousness and further tap into their true sense of self and love and wholeness in order to be in the reality that reflects that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. What would you say? I want to talk a little bit about what we believe are the life hacks to the game of life. That,
like the Easter eggs.
yeah, the stars that you win, the wisdom that helps you play the game of life with more ease and flow. Because I think when you're in lower levels of awareness and you're really deep in the illusion, it feels so difficult and hard, and we can get in this mindset that causes us to be in depression, anxiety, and we get trapped in those lower vibrations, because we're so stuck in the illusion. So what do you see as something that, I don't know, I kind of want to ping pong back and forth with our new favorite word, ping pong back and forth. Going through some life hacks. If you were to speak to someone who's new to the game, if you were to sit down with someone who is new to the game of life and you wanted to help them progress through the game of life with more ease and flow, and maybe even in a faster way, what would you say to them?
Okay, what I'm getting is that actually within the rules of the game is where you find the Easter eggs. And I'm feeling called to like read some of the rules, because those kind of expose the essence of the game itself. So I wrote rule number 1, you can die at any time. Both like not by your own doing and also by someone else's. Yeah, like you can die. You have free will, or you think you have free will. You are limitless.
You can't just drop that without it.
I mean, if I was setting the rules of the game, most people come into Earth thinking they have free will. So that's the rule for now. You are limitless, and you can create your own. You create your own limits. That's kind of feels like an Easter egg too, is to realize that you are only imposing limits on yourself. Nobody can tell you what to do, not even the rules. There is karma, meaning for every action, there's a reaction. Rule number 6, you will suffer. And 7, you can never look completely at yourself. Like you never get to completely meet the observer, because the flashlight never shines upon itself.
Can you repeat that last one again?
You can't look completely at yourself. You never get to fully meet the observer, because the flashlight can't shine upon itself.
Did you make that up?
The analogy of the flashlight, I heard from Ram Dass. The other part.
That's really powerful, that analogy, because I'm really thinking about it. And it's almost as if we are so deep in the acting and the illusion that we can wake up to only the degree of like viewing ourselves from an outside perspective for only so much. Like we can never see the full.
Yeah. Well, it's like, who is the observer? Like it's you, but you can never turn. Like you think that you can look at awareness, but then there's an awareness looking at awareness.
And so on and so forth.
And it never ends.
Right.
And I think that's also like feels like an Easter egg, because when you realize that, it kind of, I think it drives you to continue to be curious for just the pure sake of curiosity. And then you also realize that there's not really an end game, and there's not supposed to be. Like you stop kind of racing to finally understand everything and accumulate all the data points. You're never going to get them all.
Right. Well, I think the
You're
other
never going to catch
aspect
them all.
I think the other aspect of the game is to enjoy it, and the most fun and joy that you're able to have is another really big measure of success that I think aligns with how much you remember your truth. Because the more tapped into the love that you are, the more you're able to experience the game of life with so much more ease and flow and enjoyment and peace and love and abundance.
Right.
And you're able to truly be present in the game. I think where people get tripped up on the spiritual path is that they're so focused, like what you're saying, on finding the answers, when maybe the answer is that there are no answers and you're meant to just have fucking fun.
Yeah. And just play the game.
In
just
a conscious way. Yeah.
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 I'm trying to think if there's any other Easter eggs. I mean, I definitely feel like reminding people, like if this person came in and was like, I'm new to the game, and they were like, what can you tell me? I got 5 minutes before my first challenge starts. I'd be like, I think trying to explain that there really are no limits. Like what you think is real is potentially not real, and the rules, again, basically that no one can tell you what to do, not even the rules. I don't know if that would be useful advice, but I would be like, you are both in control and not in control. Yeah, and then honestly, having fun is a good Easter egg, which sounds lame, but it's like, no, it's actually like pretty helpful to the game.
Because it's all a game.
Because why? Because
it's a game.
It's a game. Like you are gonna suffer, but also like have fun.
Yeah,
like that's life.
Chill.
Like fucking calm down. The like end prize that I wrote was, at first I wrote down, you return to your initial nature, which is what you were saying, the remembering, transcending limitations, and then realizing that you are the prize. You meaning you are all things. You are oneness. You are God itself, which is kind of what Alan Watts is saying, is you are the infinite intelligence that has created all of this, and that the game itself was also the prize all along. And literally the prize has basically always been there.
I love that.
Which there's a very famous book that talks about that.
I feel like that's the key to not chasing things outside of yourself, when you realize that the prize is within you.
Yeah. Like you are literally the prize.
Yeah. Just fucking sit down and
unwrap that shit. Yeah. Get naked.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Like I saw this visual of the final level when the player runs up the mountain and climbs the temple wall and runs into the final room. That is just this empty white light room with a mirror, and when you look into it, you just see yourself and the whole universe behind you, and that's the prize.
And once you get there, the game is over? Because I feel like we rush through this ascension game.
I feel like
realizing that
maybe
this is where all the fun's at, the journey.
I feel like you can realize that early. Like, okay, in theory, I've conceptually have realized that, but my life is going to be all about remembering and then forgetting and remembering again over and over, and then exploring my life between the three worlds, the outer focus, the inner focus, and the oneness world. And the game also, this is the whole thing. It doesn't even end when you die, because your soul lives on and you go back. It's like Ram Dass always says that it's like taking off a tight fitting shoe. You're just like, ugh. And then you're like, I don't know where you go, but seems like you're fine.
I think
so
you
it doesn't
come
even
back
end.
if your soul needs to learn all the lessons, so it will come back for as many times as it needs to ascend.
Right. And then it's like, if the game was the prize all along, then that means there's no end. There's no like, gotta get to this final point. I feel like that's the whole thing. But every day we still are gonna wake up and go to work and do this thing and try to make money and try to become successful. Like we still do all those things.
Right.
So, but that's realizing like this is the game. You won the prize. So just
enjoy it.
Keep going, enjoy, and keep playing the game.
Right. I'm just thinking, I'm picturing what you were just saying as like someone's about to go in the game. What's the pep talk? I'm picturing. Yeah, I'm picturing someone in the corner of a boxing ring, and you're like, okay, sit down. Here's the rules. I feel like this is what I would tell them. And this is hard to fucking hear, so this may trigger some people. I would say, hey, you ready for this? Every single time you're down there and you're saying, why is this happening to me? Know that your soul chose that specific challenge. And remember that it's all an illusion for you to turn inwards and remember your truth. So whenever there's a challenge, the faster you can switch from saying, why me, to what is this teaching me, the faster you get your little stars. The first one will be purple. Go right here. And they're like, okay.
I'm like ready for you to break down into a rap. He's bigger than me, stronger than me. I don't know why I went to like the Karate Kid song.
But I would also be like, it's going to be so tempting to forget this because it's easier to say, why me? But the strength comes when you start asking these questions, and then the challenges start to get easier and easier and easier.
Fist bump. I feel like the other thing I'm picturing, and I love this visual because it's making it so like, it's like kind of making it easy to see the bigger picture and how the game works, because you're mentally, this mental model lets you take yourself out of it. And when you're watching it as the game master, you have more clarity on like how it works.
Right.
And this other aspect I'm thinking about is how in this game world, there's going to be all these things that come in and try to distract you. And there's dark forces that try to like, no, come here, come watch this forever and fucking go get this because I told you that you have to. And there's going to be
a Swiftie. Come to my concert for $3,000.
Give me all your money. I mean, there's basically
Beyonce, Doja Cat, fucking Bravo.
These are all Nikki.
Interstellar.
These are Nikki's demons. But yeah, there's gonna be other forces that try to fuck with your path, and they try to like fuck with your mojo and what you're trying to accomplish. And there's gonna be good players and bad players, supposedly.
But here's the thing. The other parts that are okay, reframe. The darkness that you're referring to. Here's another life hack that I would say to that person in the ring.
Easter egg.
It is you. It's
a
reflection of your identification with a false sense of self. Every time you come across one of the... Every time you come across...
Mirror.
Yes.
It's a mirror.
The
Hall of Mirrors. Level 17. You're going to walk into a Hall of Mirrors and you're going to think it's all outside of you and then ascend through the Hall of Mirrors.
No, seriously. So they're in the ring and I'm like, there's going to be darkness. There's going to be demons. But no, every single time you reach one of those dragons or one of those freaking vampires, it is a reflection of your the part of yourself that is still attached to the ego self or the false sense of self.
Yes.
So if you can fight that with a piece of your love and true self, it dissolves.
And you can't run from your shadow.
Yeah, you can't fight it. You dissolve it with the light.
Integrate.
There's
this guy named Carl Jung. He's going to come over to your house. He's going to teach you about the shadow and he's going to analyze your dreams. My favorite character in this game world is Carl Jung. He comes in and he sits you down.
Wait, all of the teachers, the spiritual teachers,
Yeah.
are really just game hackers who share hacks for the game in their own language that resonates with
Yes,
specific
they
people who
figured it
digest
out.
data in that specific way.
Yes.
So Michael Singer, he's all about the humor, the dryness. He's like, get the fuck over it, be happy. And that resonates with some people because they realize, oh, wait, I'm like really attaching myself to this 3D problem that's just draining me of my life force. Let me just see it from this higher perspective and start to feel more peace and happiness in my life. And then you have the people who resonate with the Alan Wattses.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, this image and this set of the movie and me seeing myself as the actor, I can totally see how this is right. All of these people are just teaching you the hacks of the game, and it allows you to digest the data without having to go through the challenge. This is why the spiritual journey is so expansive when you have awareness that you're even in a game. Because you get to read the books and do all the things, and it's just like
play
fun.
with the stuff.
Yeah.
Make a little dollhouse.
Yeah, exactly. Use your turbo speed.
Yeah, turbo
stealth
boost.
mode.
Yes,
Get the
go
golden
hermit
snitch.
mode.
The golden knife. Have you ever played 007?
No. Wait, like, is this like a video game or a...
Yeah, like...
So it's a game within the game. Someone's going to be listening to this high and they're going to be like...
Who is going to be listening to this high?
Dude, I don't know.
Actually, that'd
Anyone.
be fun. That would be fun for us to listen to it high.
Dude, and they're going to be like, what? They're going to be like fucking looking at their hands. They're going to be like start floating like a Fortnite character.
Oh, I have another aspect of the
Wait, sorry. Can you double check that my phone is still filming? Because I'm like paranoid it's not. It's still going?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good.
Okay, I have another hack for the game. You can take psychedelics.
Oh my God. You're going to find these mushrooms on the ground.
And they allow
grow
you to
from
see
poop.
into...
They came from poop. Cow's poop. Yeah. I think the first mushrooms were found in cow poop.
Dude, God is funny.
And then the cavemen were like, this looks good.
Yum, yum, yum.
And then they suddenly became conscious. That's the stoned ape theory.
Yeah. And then they just gained awareness.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Mushrooms. Shortcut.
Yeah. So here are the shortcuts to life. Subconscious healing work.
Boom.
Boom.
Get it done.
Fucking psychedelics. But don't get lost in the sauce because then
Not
you
too
can
much.
easily get... Note that down.
Not too much. It's like the Italian grandma. Not too much.
Just a little.
Not too much. But not too much. Conspiracies. Shortcut. Figure out this is all fucking bullshit.
See behind the veil.
Yes.
No, but I also do think some conspiracies... I also do think some conspiracies are just distraction.
Yeah, of course.
Because it locks people into fear.
For sure.
And it gets them lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
You never want to get lost in the fucking sauce.
Watch out for the sauce.
Yeah.
Watch out for the sauce.
And realize you're making the sauce.
you are the sauce.
You are the sauce. I think we're losing it.
Dude, we are. Wait, another Easter egg. Relationships. Romantic relationships especially.
Mirrors.
Man, a lot of stuff. Not really a shortcut because it really takes you like a lot of places. But find a little partner in crime for the game.
But also that's your soul probably chose that partner before you came down.
Yes.
And they were looking at the map and planning out the lessons and the challenges. And they're like, I feel like my avatar will learn its lessons perfectly with your avatar. And that'll be great. Oh, and this one. Okay, let's match up this girl with this guy when they're 16 years old.
And they're going to trigger the fuck out of each other.
Let's have him put her through hell. And then she'll go into her demon stage of putting men through hell until she realizes that she's the problem. Okay.
Yes. It's like your soul's literally sitting there with like one of those like 3D computers and is like, we're going to pair this one together with this one. And then she's going to go through a really fucked up time here. So then later when she finds the love of her life, she's like, oh my God, this is what relationships are supposed to be like.
Mic drop.
Any other Easter eggs?
Shortcuts? Oh, I have so many shortcuts. Okay, let's go back to the ring. You're about to go in. All right. Know that whenever you have a desire to create something in your life, you are a straight reflection of what's in your 3D. So turn inwards. Don't think that you have to go around and freaking make it happen. You can use the energy that is within you to create the reality from within.
And then make it happen.
And then make it happen. Then take the action. But the whole freaking game around you is a straight projection of what level and what wisdom you are embodying. So if you're looking to make a change in your reality, look at what wisdom and learning and lessons you need to go and learn in order to shed so that you can then enter into a higher vibration and be in that reality. It's all about the vibrations, the energy. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are.
Yes.
You live in the reality that you are within. And everything in your reality right now is a straight mirror into what it is you have within yourself.
Bars.
So if you want to figure out who you are, just turn inwards and ask, what is in my reality that's pissing me off? What is in my reality that's making me so happy? And these are the mirrors into your subconscious. Oh, that's another life hack.
Put me in, coach.
Should I go down the subconscious rabbit hole right now? Like, how far do we kind of have to wrap it up. Okay. We have to go to dinner. We have to go eat ramen.
Oh, that's
another
right.
life hack. Ramen gives you superpowers.
Gives you wings. F1 gives you hot people.
Taps you into your truth of being a horny motherfucker.
Yeah.
Edit out. Oh, we're going to Lulu in the woo-woo. Okay.
And that's the game.
I just was looking at my calendar and I was like, oh my God, it was my neighbor's birthday the other day and I didn't say happy birthday.
Oh.
Damn. And I think I saw her on that day. Damn. Distraction.
The government's
Where
getting
do birthdays fit in the game?
Astrology.
It's an illusion.
Astrology, human design, huge hack.
Oh.
But you need to kind of, I feel like you have to find it at the right time. Because if I had found my human design chart in high school, I would have been like, what the fuck? This does not make any sense. So maybe the other hack is trust that the Easter eggs are coming when they're meant for you.
Well, here's my idea with that. The things in your reality that are meant to help you and excel you in your current challenge or chapter will feel resonant in your body. And that's when you know that you're meant to pick up a book.
Yeah.
Or lean into a certain healing modality.
So listen to that.
Or pick up your astrology chart or human design.
Yeah.
So don't force it. If someone's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever for my life.
Yes.
It changed everything. Like how
Because
we do
when you
every-
first read Eckhart Tolle, you said it didn't really like resonate. And you
It
were
didn't
like,
resonate. It was too, I would say, I was like, I didn't understand it. I had to read like the Michael Singer stuff first and like
Right.
really take it slow and understand like what even consciousness and awareness was.
Right.
Because Eckhart Tolle throws in some terms where you're like, what? It's easy to get lost in the sauce. But
Eckhart Tolle is the hobbit on the hill who's going to teach you spiritual teachings. He's like the cutest little hobbit, man.
he literally
Is that
is,
mean to say? It's
No.
adorable.
No,
He's like a hobbit.
He's
I
adorable.
feel like he's literally a real life hobbit person.
He is such a like warm cup of coffee on a Sunday morning. You just want to.
Give me a little hobbit. He's like a duende.
Him and yeah.
Should I get the duende to show what I'm talking about? Carry on.
I would say Eckhart Tolle and Michael Singer are like the two game hackers that I would stick in my pocket to have forever because they really remind you about the truth of who you are.
This is Eckhart Tolle.
Just a little
Just
hobbit.
a little duende. A little helpful, wise duende.
Bella bought me this.
Thumbnail.
I love it. Okay. I could go into way more life hacks, but maybe we'll save that for a rainy day. I'm trying to think if there's any more that I really want to say.
What if it's the last one is like, you are the game master?
Oh, I have one more.
Let's hear it.
Okay, ready? They're in the ring. They're going. Okay, one more. So when you're down there in Earth, it's going to feel like there are things that are good and bad. And a part of you learning your lessons is to believe that things are good and bad. But in order for you to really excel and pass through the challenges and learn them with ease, it is important to have a little bit of awareness that things are not inherently good or bad. And when you're feeling emotions or when you're going through something that feels bad, know that that is actually there to teach you something. So don't resist it. If you can, accept the challenge you're going through. If it starts raining and pouring, don't think that you're going to die. It's just a part of the map. If you're going through a hard time and you're crying and you're feeling grief and you're feeling sadness, know that it is a part of the map. You're meant to move through it. Accept, surrender, have faith and trust, and then the lesson and the stars come right after.
Bars.
Okay.
Elite.
Elitist. And if you land in the body of an elitist, then
please do something and please dissipate that group and tell them to stop fucking trying to exert power over us, those fucks. Cool. I loved that. And I feel like that was such a fun, like, thought experiment to allow us to explain our perception of what this whole journey of life is. It's also funny because we are not even 30 years old yet and we're so young, and it would, you know, when we're 80, we're going to do this episode again.
We'll have more stars.
We'll have so many more stars and we'll be like, oh my God, those girls had no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Freaking beginner wisdom.
But yeah, I thought that was really fun. Share with us if we missed any important rules, Easter eggs, what you think any important levels are. I want to know what you think. If you were the game master, like, what is your core set of designing the game?
Yeah, and what challenges have you gone through? What lessons have you learned? What stars do you hold? What would you say to the person in the corner of the boxing ring?
You know what? The outro of this one's going to be instead of our song.
All right.
Oh my God.
Let's close it out.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. We love you.
Bye.